The way things are from a couple of years on, things are real horrible here in New York, all over.
You're dealing with a lot of people that are maniacs today.
You're dealing with an individual who's very basic, who only knows two things, rip off or be ripped off.
Many of those who make good by being bad are nowhere to be seen these days.
I'd be afraid. Of course I'd be afraid. He's a sick guy. He'd kill any time.
There isn't anything on earth that I will hide from or back up from.
People seem not to understand the close relationship between organized crime and street crime. And certainly in dealing with street crime in his area or any other kind of crime, the uniformed patrolman.
So all the lawyers that worked so hard in this case were on trial for 9 months. We're 3 weeks from an acquittal, all 10 defendants, and the government abandoned the case.
How many times he's done that? He's so mad, that fed up, that I would attack him.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of NYC Crime Spot. Today, we are going to discuss the year 2000's music video, I Need Drugs, by Brooklyn-born rapper and producer Necro. The song, which appears on Necro's album of the same name, was released in November of 2000. The cover art features a still from the music video that would accompany the song. It's an image of what appears to be a drug-addled man ready to flick a syringe full of death juice. That man being one Howard Tenenbaum, also known as Uncle Howie, as he was the real-life uncle of rapper Necro and his brother, fellow rapper Ill Bill. Necro was born Ron Braunstein in 1976. He's the son of Israeli immigrants who settled in Brooklyn, New York. He would grow up in the Glenwood housing projects in the Flatland section of Brooklyn, ultimately moving over to Canarsie in his teens. He describes the Glenwood projects as being half white and half black, and a place where he would develop his taste for metal and hip-hop music. He would start playing metal music in the 1980s during his adolescent years, but by the late 80s, he was making his transition into rap. He, along with his brother rapper Ill Bill, would spend the 1990s making a name for themselves in New York City's independent rap and hip-hop scene.
Dog, I scream, you scream, we all scream for torture. Play the baby, I play mommy and I'll abort ya. This is me, but I support my water free.
Necro would become known for his aggressive tone and lyrics, which paint pictures of violence, sex, and torture, with an occasional homage to a serial killer or two. This rap style is sometimes referred to as horrorcore, hardcore rap, or death rap, which is the title of Necro's 2007 album put out on his label Psychological Records. In the year 2000, he would release his first studio album, I Need Drugs, 2 years after his first solo EP, Cockroaches. The album features Necro classics like The Most Sadistic, Get on Your Knees, Your Effin' Head Split, and the song which bears the album title's name, I Need Drugs. The song is a parody of LL Cool J's I Need Love, which was released in 1987 off the album Bigger and Deffer. On I Need Drugs, Necro speaks from the perspective of a down-and-out, degenerate junkie who will do anything to get a fix, for this is the only habit that completes his miserable existence. Ripping off dealers and living off credit is just an everyday occurrence for this individual as he roams the streets of Brooklyn, making every excuse to solidify his deranged habit. Despite all this, and perhaps the most humorous part of the song, is that this individual is apparently married and employed. In 2005, Necro would give an interview with MV Remix, where he would say, "People tend to think that it's me and I need drugs." That was about real heroin addicts. For the video, Necro would enlist two individuals who were, in fact, addicts. There was Mordecai, a drug-addicted Orthodox Jew from Brooklyn, and Howard Tenenbaum, a.k.a. Uncle Howie, the real-life uncle of Necro. Howard Tenenbaum, along with his nephew, Necro's brother Ill Bill, would give an interview with Vice magazine in 2004. Ill Bill would say this of his Uncle Howie: He would come to my house after getting his methadone, and he would lay down on the couch, read my comics, and eat my cereal. This is like in 82 or 83. Howie was always big on cereal. Captain Crunch. So we used to keep it in the house for him. He'd eat the whole box in one sitting, and then burn cigarette holes in the t-shirt from nodding out. And I'd be watching TV next to him, just bugging. Despite this, Uncle Howie is also credited with contributing to Necro and Ill Bill's musical tastes, which influenced their careers, even giving Ill Bill his first guitar. By the time the interview was conducted, Ill Bill had founded Uncle Howie Records, named after him. Howard Tenenbaum, aka Uncle Howie, would go on to tell Vice exactly how he got into this predicament of being a decades-long junkie. He would say, "Let me tell you how it all started. You got to understand, I was born in Israel. When I came to this country, I couldn't speak English. I had a hard time becoming someone. I wanted to be a part of something. You know how everybody has these little groups? Well, I wanted to be the best of what I was a part of. Like you have the bullies and the best bully. You have the academics and the smartest guy. I wanted to be the best junkie on the corner. Because at that time, when you were a junkie and when you used drugs and were on the corner, nobody messed with you, and you got to mess with everybody else. It was just like a posse. Believe me, I turned out to be the best junkie. It was the worst thing that happened to me in life. Everybody else died. I know nobody from my past who's still alive." Now, before we get into the details of Necro's video, I Need Drugs, I just want to stress that by the time Howie gave this 2004 Vice interview, he was clean, and his physical appearance was far removed from years prior. Ill Bill would say that he took him in and helped him get clean. Howie would say that for the first time in his life, he didn't feel alone, and he felt loved after his nephew expressed to him that he was his uncle, and he didn't want to see him die a junkie. Now let's get to the video. The video was reportedly filmed inside the confines of a seedy Coney Island motel, the type of place where the subjects of the video would in fact be caught dead in. The video starts with Uncle Howie acting out on the streets of Brooklyn, followed by Mordecai giving a lesson on his knowledge of drug history.
My wife used to get heroin off the body bag from Vietnam, 100% pure. You did literally a pinhead needle amount, that's how little, and you'd be throwing up. This is not heroin. This is the biggest bogus in the drug war, another lie. Pure, it's always pure. It's not pure by all means. I even know what it is. Sometimes I buy things. If it was legal, like in England, heroin addicts get the heroin legal.
Necro would then accompany Uncle Howie and Mordecai inside the hotel room. He would rap his lyrics, all the while his uncle and his yarmulke-wearing pal Mordecai would partake in various drug rituals.
When I come home from work, I'm fiending for an 8-ball. I got crack on my mind. I'm hearing cocaine call, telling me to beep the dealer to deliver me stuff. Keep it a secret from my wife, cause she thinks I don't use drugs. There I was, bleeding from my nose.
This bizarre reality juxtaposed perfectly with Necro's humorous lyrics and jolly demeanor. And while this juxtaposition seems insensitive, it's surely the whole damn point of it all. As Necro continues to rap, Howie and Mordecai enjoy their drugs of choice, followed by nodding out and going into convulsions. Uncle Howie rambles about some sort of bizarre fantasy.
Do it in real life, man. You know what I'm saying? I think that I have my friends over, keep them asleep, keep them asleep and getting fucked in the ass.
Mordecai then recovers from a vertical nod, only to spill the contents of his 2-liter bottle of liquid. The whole video is altogether disturbing, sad, and at times laughable. It's a lot more graphic than what I'll show you here, but be sure to check the video link in the description of this upload. Necro would say this to UGSMag.com in reference to the making of the video. It was Uncle Howie's idea to film him. All he needed was me to put up $50 for some crack. That's it. And drive him to the crack spot, then back to the crack hotel. Before we filmed that, Howie and Mordecai were smoking for 6 hours already. They were gone. Kid, the point of the video is the reality of the track. On a personal level, I first saw the video in the early 2000s, after a friend put me on to Necro's music. To be honest, it was very timely for me, as I recently developed an affinity for documentary film, especially documentaries that depicted the harshest versions of reality. I often attribute this interest to being exposed to documentaries like Dark Days, and HBO documentaries at that time, such as Hookers at the Point, and shows like Taxi Cab Confessions. I also recently spoke about and filmed a prominent streetwalker drug dealer stroll in Flushing, Queens, where I grew up, in the upload, The Legend of Big Bird and the Infamous Stroll of Flushing, Queens. At an early age, I sought out the bizarre realities of life, and Necro's I Need Drugs checked all the boxes. 24 years later, I believe it still does. Uncle Howie Tenenbaum would pass away in March of 2010, at 56 years old. As for Mordecai, well, I can't say. He would go on to receive a shout-out in Necro's Talking Shit. Leave a comment down below if you're aware. Today, Necro still puts out music, not only in his death rap style, but also heavy metal. He maintains his label Psychological Records and has gained millions of loyal fans around the globe. He's also a successful producer and a prolific purveyor of merchandise. Over the past 2 decades plus, he's been releasing CDs, vinyl, t-shirts, sneakers, home goods, and even his own cosmetic line. He shows no signs of slowing down. If you would like to support Necro, you can visit his website at necrohiphop.com. And please check the links in the description of this video to watch the full video of I Need Drugs and other Necro content. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the history and analysis of Necro's I Need Drugs video. Perhaps one of the most disturbing and interesting rap videos ever filmed.
The way things are, from a couple of years on, things are real horrible here in New York, all over.
You're dealing with a lot of people that are maniacs today.
You're dealing with an individual who's very basic, who only knows 2 things, rip off or be ripped off.
Many of those who make good by being bad are nowhere to be seen these days.
I'd be afraid. Of course I'd be afraid. He's a sick guy. He'd kill any time.
There isn't anything on earth that I will hide from or back up from.
People seem not to understand the close relationship between organized crime and street crime. And certainly in dealing with street crime in his area or any other kind of crime, the uniformed patrolman.
So all the lawyers that worked so hard in this case were on trial for 9 months with 3 weeks from an acquittal, all 10 defendants, and the government abandoned the case.
How many times he done that? I was so mad that, fed up, that I would attack him.